In April 2014, two young Dutch women, Lisanne Froon and Kris Kremers, vanished while hiking near the remote village of Boquete, Panama. What began as a simple hike into the jungle ended with a series of haunting clues: a found backpack, fragmented remains, eerie photographs, and unanswered questions that continue to confound investigators. Known collectively as the Lost Girls of Panama, the case of Kris and Lisanne is one of the most perplexing unsolved disappearances of the decade. Kris Kremers, 21, and Lisanne Froon, 22, were adventurous, intelligent students from the Netherlands. Kris was studying cultural social education, while Lisanne had a degree in applied sciences. In March 2014, the two friends traveled to Panama for a 6-week vacation that combined tourism with volunteer work. They arrived in Boquete, a town popular with hikers and backpackers, planning to teach local children and explore the surrounding highlands. On April 1st, they set out for a hike on the El Pianista Trail, a popular path that leads into the cloud forests of the Talamanca Mountains. It was a bright, clear morning. The two women were never seen alive again. When Kris and Lisanne failed to show up for a scheduled appointment on April 2nd, locals and volunteers began searching. Initially, there was no sign of distress. Panama's rugged terrain and lack of cell signal made immediate tracking difficult. 10 days after their disappearance, a more extensive search began, involving Dutch and Panamanian officials, helicopters, search dogs, and local guides. Yet no significant evidence turned up until over 2 months later, when a Nagabe woman discovered a blue backpack on the bank of a river near Alto Romero, about 10 miles from the trail. The backpack was a chilling find. It contained *2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, Lisanne's camera, both women's passports, one of the phones. Most notably, the backpack showed no signs of environmental damage, as though it had been carefully placed or protected from the elements, despite being found near a river. Analysis of the phones revealed a disturbing timeline. On April 1st, multiple calls to 112, the international emergency number, and 911 had been made from the girls' phones, first from Kris's iPhone and later from Lisanne's Samsung Galaxy. The first attempt came just hours after they had set off on their hike. Over the following days, more emergency calls were attempted, more than 70 in total. The last attempt was made on April 11th, suggesting that at least one of the women may have survived in the wilderness for more than a week. Equally eerie were the 133 photographs found on Lisanne's camera. The early images showed the women happily hiking the trail on April 1st. But on April 8th, 7 days later, 90 photos were taken in total darkness over a span of 3 hours between 1 and 4 a.m. These nighttime photos are the most unsettling part of the mystery. They include close-up shots of rocks, branches, and water. One image of what appears to be the back of Kris's head, possibly injured. A plastic candy wrapper and a mirror. No signs of other people. No explanation has been confirmed for these photos. Some speculate they were taken to signal rescuers, others suggest an attempt to document the terrain or preserve memories, and darker theories suggest panic or psychological distress. Following the discovery of the backpack, searchers found scattered remains in the area. A boot was recovered containing a foot, later identified as Lisanne's. Bits of pelvic bone, a femur, and ribs were eventually found and tested. Some bones belonged to Kris, others to Lisanne. Oddly, forensic tests found no signs of trauma on the bones, no animal bites, scratches, or fractures. One report noted that some bones had traces of phosphorus, which can indicate decomposition in tropical climates, but others appeared unnaturally bleached. One forensic pathologist remarked that the bones looked as if they had been cleaned. The spacing of the remains, spread across miles of jungle terrain, also raised questions. Some experts found it unlikely that animals alone could scatter remains so extensively without leaving other evidence. The official theory holds that the girls got lost in the jungle and died of exposure or injury. They may have slipped, become injured, and were unable to find their way back. The emergency calls, nighttime photos, and lack of trauma on the bones support this possibility. Critics of this theory point to the careful preservation of the backpack, the absence of major trauma, and the eerie photo sequence as signs that more may have occurred. The peculiar condition of the backpack and bones has led to suggestions that the scene was manipulated, possibly by someone trying to obscure the truth. The lack of blood evidence or consistent decomposition adds to these suspicions. Again, no conclusive evidence supports this theory, but the inconsistencies leave the door open.